I'm Adam.
And I'm Tad. And this is
Where
There's a Williams, There's a Way.
Hey, Tad, do you believe in leprechauns?
I think that there are many things out in the world that can't be explained, so why not have an open mind about the possibilities of things like leprechauns being real?
I've always liked the thought of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
It seems symbolic, don't you think, of good things to come?
Exactly. I'm an optimist and believe that there is always something good waiting just beyond the horizon. In today's book, we see how a clever man was able to outwit some leprechauns. Let's get started. Too Many Leprechauns, or How That Pot of Gold Got to the End of the Rainbow, by Stephen Krensky, illustrated by Dan Andreasen. Finn O'Finnegan looked like a rogue and walked like a rascal, so it was widely thought that he was at least one of the other. And his shadow, which followed him closely and knew all of his secrets, might have said he was both. But when Finn returned home to Dingle after a year in Dublin, he was only looking to rest his feet and grow fat on his mother's soda bread. The village looked much as he had left it, the stone walls a bit wobbly, the houses leaning into the wind, and yet something was clearly amiss. At his own house, Finn was surprised to find his mother cleaning up broken dishes with a broom. Mrs. O'Finnegan let out a great yawn. "So here you are, Finn, and it would be glorious to see if only I could keep my eyes open. But the leprechauns are everywhere making fairy shoes with the infernal tapping, and none of us have slept in weeks." At that moment, Finn heard a steady tap, tap, tap in the yard. He stepped outside to investigate. In the garden, a leprechaun named Dob was hard at work. Tap, 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 tap. "Good day," said Finn. Dob scowled at him. "It's a busy day, to be sure. The more shoes I make for the fairies, the more gold I get, and nothing is more important than gold." Now, Finn had some experience with leprechauns, and he chose his words carefully. "A wise outlook. If I'm not mistaken, though, you may have missed a stitch." Dob dropped his hammer. "Missed a stitch?" He wagged a finger at Finn. "Fancy yourself an expert, do you? Come with me." Dob led the way to a second leprechaun named Waddle. He too was making shoes, a dainty pair with silk flowers lining the sides. "What do you say to these?" asked Dob. "Has Waddle missed a stitch too?" Finn rubbed his chin. "Well, his shoes are fine, assuming they'll only be worn in the dark." "In the dark?" cried Waddle. "Where no one could see them," Finn explained. Both leprechauns turned a deep shade of red.
I thought that leprechauns were solitary creatures that try to stay hidden from humans.
"Not in Dingle."
They seem like they are hard-working little men obsessively driven by greed and avarice.
"That's the way it looks. They work so hard and long that leprechauns make it hard for everyone around them to sleep."
What do you think this rascal Finn is up to?
It seems that lazy, clever men are always trying to trick leprechauns into giving away their gold.
I feel like he's the type of bloke that puts a lot of time and effort into not working.
The next day, Dob dragged Finn to 3 more leprechauns, and to 4 more the day after that. By week's end, Finn had seen shoes of every size and style, and for each fault, flaw, or defect that he mentioned, the angrier the leprechauns became. "Leprechauns are sensitive," Finn observed to his mother. "And greedy too," she added. "But don't put my heart crossways by taking too many chances." There was a knock at the door from Dob. "You're just in time for tea," said Finn. Dob snorted. "It's not tea I'm after, it's you. Follow me." Dob led the way to a field where all the leprechauns stood waiting. As Finn approached, they moved back slowly to reveal a great pile of gold. "We hardly could have gained all of this," said Dob, "if our shoes were not the finest of their kind." "Impressive," said Finn. He could see that the leprechauns loved their gold dearly, so dearly that it just might be their undoing. "Perhaps," Finn went on, "if I saw all your shoes together, I might change my mind." Yes, the leprechauns agreed. They were sure that would make all the difference. "Tomorrow morning we will bring the shoes to the village square," they promised. Finn nodded. "I'll be counting on it," he said. A gray dawn greeted the leprechauns as they arrived with their carts, barrows, sacks, and bundles. The shoes were unpacked and laid out with care. Soon, everything was ready. But while the leprechauns were there and the shoes were there, Finn was not. The leprechauns waited and waited. The sky cleared before Finn finally appeared. "Sorry I'm late," he said, although he didn't sound sorry at all. Finn marched up and down the street. At some shoes, he stopped and pointed in astonishment. Oh. At others, he simply clapped in delight. "A very impressive sight," he said finally. "I can see why you are proud of your treasure." Dob frowned. "We're proud," he repeated. "Are we still not proud of our gold?" "Well, you could be," said Finn, "if your gold hadn't suddenly disappeared." The leprechauns turned pale. "Disappeared?" Such a thing was beyond imagining. Still, it might be best to make sure. I don't get these funny little men.
What do you mean?
It seems as if all these leprechauns define themselves on two things.
How much money they have, and how much they could make.
Close. I definitely think they're proud of how much gold they have. But I also think that they are truly hard workers and are proud of their workmanship.
What do you think they are going to do with all of that gold?
That's the thing. I don't think that they're going to do anything besides show it off.
What's the point of having all that money if you refuse to use it for anything?
I think that's a universal struggle. You want to have enough money that you're secure, but you also need to spend it on things that will make you happy.
It is a difficult thing, finding the right balance between the two.
I know that it's something that I struggle with. Empty. They found the field empty. "It must be here somewhere," Dob insisted. The leprechauns looked everywhere, behind hedges, under rocks, even in the trees. All night and into the dawn they searched through Dingle, their lanterns flickering like fireflies in the darkness. But it did them no good. All of their fairy gold, every last coin and nugget, was gone. In the morning, when the mist still lay heavy on the air, the leprechauns came pounding on Finn's door. "What have you done with our gold?" Dob demanded. Finn shrugged. "All is not lost, only safely tucked away. I'll make you a bargain. If you promise to leave Dingle and never trouble us again, I'll return your gold." It pained the leprechauns to admit defeat, but not as much as it would have hurt them to lose their gold forever. Reluctantly, they agreed to his terms. "Then we'd best be moving along," said Finn, looking up at the clearing sky. He led them back to the empty field. At that moment, the sun came out and a rainbow fell from the sky. And there, where the rainbow met the grass, a great pile of gold suddenly appeared. The leprechauns stamped their feet. "You moved our gold to the end of the rainbow, and when the rainbow vanished, so did our gold." "Indeed," said Finn, "for it's fairy gold. As you told me, the fairies often use the rainbows to move their gold about." "You tricked us," said Dob. Finn held up a hand. "The rainbow is back, and so is your treasure. Take it in peace while the rainbow holds, and remember our bargain." Finn then went home to his mother, who after a good night's sleep baked him more loaves of soda bread than even he could eat. As for the leprechauns, they were heard grumbling at times about how Finn had outwitted them. Yet they were secretly pleased as well, for if the truth be told, they've kept their gold at the end of the rainbow ever since. The end.
So it turns out that Finn wasn't after the gold at all.
That surprised me too.
He is much less of a rogue or rascal than everyone thought.
Yeah, I guess he was just trying to trick the leprechauns into leaving town.
He did it to help out his mom.
If you had a pile of gold, what would you do with it?
I would buy a nice lake house down by the water. What about you?
More than likely, I would invest the money to keep my future secure. If there was enough money for me to live off, I would also travel.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Speaking of having fun, if you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I'm Adam.
And I'm Dad. And this is Where There's a Williams,
there's a way. Did you know, while you're on the ground, you can only observe the classic semicircular rainbow, hence the word bow. However, when you're flying in an airplane and looking down below, you can actually see a rainbow as a complete circle.